Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price, which I have opened to the Bible, specifically the Book of Exodus. Here I have a plain King James Bible, which I also have open to the Book of Exodus. Here I have a King James Bible, the big fat appendix in the back, which I have open to the Book of 2 Samuel. Here I have the tri-combination, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price, which I have open to the Book of Mormon, specifically the Book of Mosiah.
Exodus, chapter 13, verse 2, we read, "Sanctify unto me all the firstborn, whatsoever openeth the womb among the children of Israel, both of man and of beast, it is mine." Then in Exodus chapter 22, verses 29 through 30, "Thou shalt not delay to offer the first of thy ripe fruits and of thy liquors. The firstborn of thy sons shalt thou give unto me. Likewise shalt thou do with thine oxen and with thy sheep. 7 days it shall be with his dam. On the 8th day thou shalt give it to me." And then in Numbers, chapter 3, verse 13, we read, "Because all the firstborn are mine, for on the day that I smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, I hallowed unto me all the firstborn in Israel, both man and beast, mine shall they be, I am the Lord." Here we see that the firstborn sons of men and beasts were to be given to the Lord after being with their dam for 7 days. We also see in Numbers chapter 3, verse 13, that they are the Lord's because the Lord hallowed all of the firstborn sons in Israel when he smote all the children in the land of Egypt. So then we go to the Bible, to 2 Samuel chapter 24, verse 24. "And the king said unto Araunah, Nay, but I will surely buy it of thee at a price, neither will I offer burnt offerings unto the Lord my God of that which doth cost me nothing." So David bought the threshing floor and the oxen of 50 shekels of silver. The king was not willing to offer burnt offerings unto the Lord that wouldn't cost him anything. He wanted to spend money on it. He spent money, specifically a total of 50 shekels of silver, to pay for both the threshing floor and the oxen. This means that the oxen were used for burnt offerings. Then, we turn to the Book of Mormon. Mosiah chapter 2, verse 3. "And they also took of the firstlings of their flocks that they might offer sacrifice and burnt offerings according to the law of Moses." Here's one of those stupid websites where someone tries to make it sound like the Book of Mormon contradicts the Bible. Number 6. The Old Testament teaches that the firstborn of the flocks were to be given automatically to the Lord. Sacrifices were to be made from the remaining animals. And then, of course, here we've got Exodus chapter 13, verse 12 being quoted. Right there. And then there's a bunch, and I've read most of these passages to you already. I've not read all of them yet, but I will in a sec. And the Book of Mormon claims that the Nephites were keeping the law of Moses. However, the Nephites broke the law of Moses by using the first of the flocks for burnt offerings. These should have already been given to the Lord as tithing. And of course, got Mosiah chapter 2, verse 3 quoted all over again. The anti-LDS are claiming that the Nephites contradicted the law of Moses by offering the firstlings of their flocks unto the Lord, claiming that such a sacrifice was a Mosaic law. The anti-LDS claim that the law of Moses, as explained in the Book of Exodus, teaches that the firstlings of the flocks automatically being the Lord's means that they are not to be offered as sacrifices. But let's take a closer look at these biblical passages that they're referencing. Let's take a look at what it says in Numbers chapter 18, verses 15 through 18. "Everything that openeth the matrix in all flesh which they bring unto the Lord, whether it be of men or beasts, shall be thine. Nevertheless, the firstborn of man shalt thou surely redeem, and the firstling of unclean beasts shalt thou redeem. And those that are to be redeemed from a month old shalt thou redeem according to thine estimation for the money of 5 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary, which is 20 gerahs. But the firstling of a cow, or the firstling of a sheep, or the firstling of a goat, thou shalt not redeem, they are holy. Thou shalt sprinkle their blood upon the altar, and shalt burn their fat for an offering made by fire for a sweet savour unto the Lord. And the flesh of them shall be thine, and the wave, breast, and as the right shoulder are thine. After the firstborn sons of men and beasts are given to the Lord, eventually they reach the age of 1 month. When they reach that age, the firstborn sons of men and unclean beasts are to be redeemed. You can see. And those that are to be redeemed for a month old, thou shalt redeem according to thine estimation. But the firstling of a cow, or the firstling of a sheep, or the firstling of a goat, thou shalt not redeem. However, the firstborn sons of cows, sheep, and goats were to be sacrificed. Look right here. Thou shalt sprinkle their blood upon the altar, and shalt burn their fat for an offering made by fire, for a sweet savour unto the Lord. So for the Book of Mormon to come along and tell us that the Nephites took the firstlings of their flocks and used them as sacrifices and burnt offerings unto the Lord, as recorded in Mosiah chapter 2 verse 3, actually complements the Bible. It's not a contradiction. In the last video, I accused them of deliberately ignoring a passage in the Bible and pumping up others in order to make their case, which is what they did with so-called Contradiction number 8, where they deliberately ignored 2 Kings chapter 14 verse 20, but pumped up Micah chapter 5 verse 2, in order to make it sound like the Bible and Book of Mormon contradict each other regarding Christ's birth. And then in 2 Kings chapter 14 verse 20, it says, he was buried at Jerusalem with his fathers in the city of David. So the city of David, aka Bethlehem, is considered to be at Jerusalem in your own freaking Bible. So when the Book of Mormon comes along and says that Jesus Christ is going to be born at Jerusalem, it doesn't mean the city of Jerusalem. It means the city of Bethlehem, which is at Jerusalem. So it actually complements your Bible. These stupid anti-LDS who tell you differently are deliberately ignoring this passage in your Bible and pumping up others to make their case. They are also misreading this verse, even though they quote the phrase land of our forefathers. In this instance, they listed a passage in the Bible that supports the Book of Mormon on the point of making animal sacrifices, Numbers chapter 18 verses 15 through 18, but did not quote it. Instead, they listed it, but only quoted Exodus chapter 13 verse 12 and Deuteronomy chapter 12 verse 6 in order to make it sound like the firstlings of flocks are not to be given as burnt offerings and sacrifices. Deuteronomy chapter 12 verse 6, and thither ye shall bring your burnt offerings and your sacrifices and your tithes and heave offerings of your hand and your vows and your freewill offerings of the firstlings of your herds and of your flocks. Deuteronomy chapter 12 verse 6, and thither ye shall bring your burnt offerings and the firstlings of your herds and of your flocks. But Numbers chapter 18 verse 17, which they list on their website, makes it clear that the firstlings of flocks are to be given as burnt offerings and sacrifices. So this teaching in Numbers chapter 18 verse 17, which they would have you believe contradicts Mosiah chapter 2 verse 3 by merely listing the passage without quoting it, actually complements the Book of Mormon. For Sandra Tanner and anyone else who teaches that the Book of Mormon contradicts the Bible on this point is blatantly lying about what it says in Numbers chapter 18 verse 17. That is an unchristian move on their part. Period.